The Omega Man! That's right, folks. We're talking about a cinematic masterpiece. This is one of those properties that every generation wants to try to adapt again because you get a nice actor, nice loosely because of the guy who's in this one, and you just say, go run around a city for a bit, and then monsters will attack you. It's like, yeah, let's do it every generation. This is the one I've always been the most fascinated by, solely because it was a reference I saw on The Simpsons when I was very young and I had no idea what it was from. I've seen this movie once before when I was younger and I was like, oh yeah, The Simpsons thing. I didn't really think about it. But now I'm an older man. I had to come back to watch it. This movie fucking rips. I really liked this movie and I think it's insane and scary. This is, in my humble opinion, the scariest movie I've talked about on Movie Tales in any capacity. The specific thing it's doing that terrifies me, we're going to get into in a minute here. But this type of concept is so good for cinema because it's just a guy running about in the city, and that's what I love about the opening of the Omega Man. It's just Charlton Heston in a city, stealing cars, crashing through windows and breaking everything, just taking what he wants. He isn't even trying to be subtle about it, and I appreciate that. I know we could spend all day talking about Chuck Heston and like his relationship to people in the real world and things. He's one of those figures on screen that I compare to Richard Burton for my personal interest in just watching this grown man have a crisis. I love when Richard Burton has a crisis. Heston is so Shakespearean where it's like, I'm a man who is shirtless, screaming at the top of his lungs, just waiting for death to take me. And in this movie, it's just a grown man who is broken from society, just having a complete and utter mental breakdown, ready to die, but refusing to give up. I love every second of it. He wears the most bombastic, outlandish outfits. He just runs down the street. He has the most confusing and utterly pointless setup as any man ever had in a movie. I love every second of it. This guy is a monster and a lunatic, and he is just the last man on Earth, and it's great. He's also being chased by the most terrifying creatures on film. I am so afraid of these stupid, cloaked, white-skinned people, it upsets me. They freak me out. Like the first scene that we see them in when he's like, oh shit, it's getting sundown and I have to get back to my lair. And they just all chase him through his garage. It terrifies me. It terrified me so much watching it this time. I hate the idea of you being stalked in broad daylight and when the lights come out, there's just people standing outside your door. I hate people looking in windows. It freaks me the fuck out more than anything. And just all of these people literally like getting a catapult to launch fiery rocks at his house. It scares me to no end. It freaks me out so much. And this guy, he just has a gun and is just ready to shoot them. Because this is the other thing about this movie, and probably one of the lead reasons Charlton Heston wanted to do it. This is about a man's relationship with his firearms, because in every single scene, pretty much, that has Chuck in it, he is just wielding a huge rifle or machine gun. He is ready to kill anybody that comes near him. He's a maniac with a weapon, and we know that Chuck Heston was a maniac with a weapon, IRL, so it works and it connects with you. But it is everything I love in a movie. A grown man having a crisis. He's not bulked up and muscular. He's just a dude who's like 40, looking like a beefcake, just freaking out in cool outfits. Creepy guys are stalking you. That terrifies me. And it's all about religion, man. That's what this is about. The whole underlying theme of this movie is just the rebirths of society. This new cult of these albino freaks is just... I mean albino freaks in terms of the characters. I'm not saying all albino people are freaks. I just want to point that out. I'll just say the pale-skinned people of this movie, they are insane. And they're creepy. They're like, the old ways are done. We can't use technology or tools. It destroyed us. No, it sounded like a war going on globally is what destroyed you. This could be viewed, if you want to get aspirational about it, as like a Cold War ideology of what could happen if like the nukes dropped. I'm sure that's an idea people have explored. I see it more as like a post-religion universe where suddenly the world is changing and a man who is clinging to what society used to be is the last bastion of what was right with the world. because Neville, isn't it so cool that Heston's playing a character named Neville? He was a scientist who was working on the vaccine for all these people being infected, but then the world fell apart and now he can't do anything about it. And he injected himself with potentially the cure, and it might work, it might not, because the first half of this movie, it's terrifying. Here's a grown man being chased by these freaks trying to kill him. They wear big sunglasses, that part of their face is scarred off. They're scary and creepy, and they're just like destructive lunatic monsters ready to watch the world burn. The second half of this movie is a grown man meeting a bunch of kids and like, I'm gonna save you. And it does become a Jesus allegory as the story progresses. It's weird. It's like, we're going to start a new Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve and out the snake. And I'm like, yeah, okay. That's a lot to explain. But Heston is so good at delivering those big moments. Like, even though there's people his age on screen, he is just the dad of the room. He's just the figurehead of the group. Every time he shows up, he's just the one in charge. And you love to see it. He is so good. But of course, it's a movie from the 70s, so it can't be complete without a female character, poorly written and stereotyped a little too much. So we have Rosalind Cash playing Lisa in this movie, and there are things about it that are really well done. She is capable, she is confident, she doesn't give him any guff. She does fall in love with him pretty quick, and she is a black woman in a movie written in the 70s, and Heston is a white man who is the authoritative figure over her, so some of her dialogue is a little on the nose. Some of the things he says to her, a little on the nose. Some of the things they're talking about, kind of weird. It doesn't work perfectly, but I will buy the fact that at the end of the world, when everybody is gone, the person you're going to love is the doctor saving your brother who might cure the world. I'll buy that. I think there is something about that works. Not all of it does. You know, there's some scenes where it doesn't work and she is topless for some of it. And you're like, what? Why is this happening? We do see her in like a fashion store more than once where she's like shopping. And I'm like, okay, that's whatever. But she does get some licks in. There's a scene where she's like part of a motorcycle chase. She's not actually like driving the motorcycle, but she's telling him where to go. I love that about this movie too, that like every single scene is like we're filming in like a real city where there's nobody. It's abandoned buildings. We're in a huge stadium. We're running through the aisles on motorcycles. We're just chasing a bunch of dudes. That shit scares me too. That motorcycle sequence in the stadium freaks me out because it's like you're on a bike and they're chasing you in an enclosed area. They could probably rip you off the bike. It's so scary. I don't know why the cloaked figures in this movie freaked me out so much, but I was dead terrified of them. And their leader, Matthias, who was just like, yeah, we're going to kill you. You're a terrible bastion for what the world could have been. We're going to end your life. It's scary. It scares me so much. And they capture him. They capture him twice. They capture him at the first time, and he gets freed by Lisa and another. What's the other name of the guy? Was it I have the list here. Was he Dutch? Was Dutch the other guy? There's like the little kid. No, it's not Dutch. Dutch was the other. I don't remember. There's like a kid who's like a younger version of Heston who's wearing a leather jacket and is shirtless, and he's just like, yeah, man, we're gonna save these kids. It's all gonna be great. And he's like throwing like sparks on the ground and like bombs of light that are gonna make the newly formed humans just like wince because they're afraid of light. It's weird. It's weird, but I like seeing that. And then he gets captured again, kind of in like a sacrificial way. And they're just like, okay, we're going to kill you now. And I'm like, this is terrifying. They string him up. The Jesus allegory is so on the nose. And it's like, okay, the first time they literally put him on a cross, which I'm fine. Do your thing. I know what you're doing. You're anti-religion. You're kind of apolitical and a-religious, but there is a clear message of like, we don't agree with the things we are saying here, but we're also not shying away from them. And then the very last shot of the movie, when we see Heston's blood is like the cure, and he saves Lisa, and like he gets, oh my God, when he gets shot by like a big spear from the top of his building, and it literally just impales him, it looked awesome. It was awesome, but he dies in the pose of Jesus Christ on the cross. His arms are out like that. He is dead, but he also has the cure for humanity on his person. Because let's not forget, while he's a badass gun-toting lunatic, he's also the smartest man in the world who knows how to devise the cure for the terrifying people. Yeah, he can do everything. And I get it. It's fine. You know, it does work when he made the cure for himself and it worked on him and they want to kill him. I do think that stuff works. And while I don't love, like, okay, now we're going to be spending like 40 minutes saving this one kid, testing the fluid on him, seeing if it works, getting the stuff to make it work, getting the stuff to not make it work. That's all interesting. I just really like the beginning half of this movie where we're driving down a big highway. He's just smashing into mailboxes, running into a building, closing a garage door, and keeping his gas locked up. It is very interesting when it does that, and sometimes it loses the mark there, but for a movie from the 70s, the effects look great, the costuming looks great, it's genuinely terrifying, and you're just seeing Heston as a broken man who becomes Jesus, and there is something to say about that. It ain't great, but there's something to say about the thing it's doing there, and that's not a big problem. It's just interesting. It's a fine movie worth exploring. So, watch The Omega Man. I think it's kind of worth it. And if not, thank you all for watching this episode of Horrific Tales. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.